FYI.
You know, every time we talk about animals, you know, if I say something cruel or I laugh about an animal's death, you know, we get calls, people write, and they say, boy, if it ever happened to you, you know, you'd feel differently. Yeah, because I always make fun of people who blubber about their lost pets. Well, like Loxie, our screener's never forgiven me because, you know, she fell to pieces when her cat died last year, and I didn't show any proper sympathy.
Right.
So here's what happened to me Saturday. I found out what I'd feel like if my cat was dead.
It is?
Well, it's not. Oh, but we thought it was. So I found out naturally, you know, what my reaction would be.
Okay.
Because we were out all day. You know, we went out to the beach and we were out all day and came back and it was about 10:30 at night. Normally the cat comes running to the front door to greet us.
Right.
We've been gone all day, but the cat didn't show up, and I sort of noticed that, but didn't think about it.
The cat that you largely ignore.
Well, like, we've had it for 9 years. We've had it since, you know, we moved in together.
Well, I guess your wife paid attention to it, but once children came along, it's...
No, my wife has had a love-hate relationship with the cat. She despises the cat at times because the cat pees on the rugs.
Wants attention.
Yeah, so she's always talked about offing the cat.
No.
Yeah, and I haven't. I give the cat, the only attention the cat gets is from me. And it's pretty limited because since the kids came.
Yeah, I've never seen you do anything with the cat. I'm only there a few times, but I've never even seen you.
The cat comes to me while I'm working at my desk.
Oh, okay.
When it hears the computer go on, it jumps up on my desk.
Oh, see?
Yeah. So, anyway, we come back and I put the kids to bed. I go to bed. My wife is still puttering around the house, and I hear her calling for the cat. But she realized it wasn't around. And no cat's coming out. Nobody's poking its head out. Uh-oh. So I get up, and I start calling for the cat, and we realize the cat's not in the house. And my wife immediately assumes that it's my fault that when I was loading up the car in the morning, I left the front door open and the cat snuck out.
Oh, it did get out. I was going to say, find it under some couch or something.
Oh, wait. We have a little twist here in the story. So she goes into full-fledged 5-alarm panic. She suddenly assumes the cat is splattered, run over by a truck, you know, out in the street, or has been consumed by the coyotes that lurk in our neighborhood. And she's imagining all these horrible deaths as she's running around the house calling for the cat.
Are you going to tell me, by the way, not to diverge too much, that you still can hear coyotes munching on neighborhood pets at night?
We hear the coyotes consuming neighborhood pets.
You're still hearing that?
And we're still hearing that.
It's a combination of crunching and little murmuring and whimpering of an animal at some point.
You hear. I've
never believed this story. I have to come to your house one night and just sit out in the back and see if I can hear what you're...
I'm not the only one. Other people have heard this.
Feeding time.
You hear the howl of the coyote.
Yeah.
And then you hear the barking or the squealing of the animal that's about to be consumed.
The victim.
Right. And the dogs will... like that's off. The cats will be... and then suddenly there's a cutoff.
Every night.
Not every night.
Oh, I thought you were saying like...
No, it's not every night. You know what? Every night there's some...
Coyote's got to eat every night.
There's a coyote chorus every night. They're howling, you know, at the moon every night.
All right.
And the dogs are joining in.
But only some nights do they get lucky and get a meal from one of the local pets.
You don't really notice it until you hear the sound get cut off. Like you hear the noise, and you don't really realize that one of the howlers is being eaten until that noise stops dead.
Then it's possible they're not in the same place and that the dog just stops whimpering or whatever.
Oh, no, it's a sharp
Maybe
cutoff.
Maybe somebody opened the door and let him in.
It's a sharp cutoff.
I thought you heard like a little crunching.
No, we did. I never heard crunching. I never said I heard crunching.
I guess I added that.
No, this could be like, you know, a mile away in the hills, you know, and it echoes. Yeah, you hear the bones being spit out. Oh, okay. All right, so
the cat
my
be outside and your wife's in a panic.
Oh, complete panic. I mean, she's running up and down our backyard hill with a flashlight. She jumped into the car and started driving around the neighborhood. Now, you know, our neighborhood is not a flat suburban-style neighborhood, you know, where all the houses are close to the street and there's front lawns where if a cat's roaming around, you could easily see it. In our neighborhood, it's hilly. It's in the canyon, so the homes are set way back, and there's a lot of foliage and ivy and bushes and things. You can't find a lost cat in our block.
Did you call it?
No,
that cat always comes when I call it.
Well,
actually, it comes. I don't say anything. It hears somebody that comes running in your house.
I said, it's 11 o'clock at night. You're going to jump in the car, and you're probably going to get hit by some drunken driver screaming down our hill. You know.
Out there with a flashlight.
So, the thing is, how I felt was I was upset. I was a little depressed, kind of a little bit, But I didn't think that we should be going out looking for it in the middle of the night. I was trying to be practical, and right away my wife thinks, well, I don't care. One thing, when you're with somebody who's hysterical, if you don't meet their hysteria, then you're accused of being an unfeeling boob.
Yeah, you're on the bad side already.
That's the hard thing about having any sense of rationality or logic in a time of crisis. If you're not as upset as the most upset person in the room, then they think you're a cold cloud.
As a matter of fact, if you keep it up, that'll overtake the grief over the loss of the cat. You'll be in hotter water.
I know, and so I was trying to shut up. I didn't want to press my point. I said, if you want to go ahead.
But the factor that usually decides this is how attached the children are to the cat. I guess they don't care.
Well, the 8-month-old isn't going to remember.
Right, but the 3-year-old.
3-year-old will probably start asking about it. And first thing I said is we'll get a new gray cat,
Never noticed.
We'll call it Mercedes. What the kid be? It's like
Mercedes 2.
Mercedes 2. It's like, we got a new Mercedes. It's like we got a new sofa, a new car. We get a new cat. Figure a 3-year-old will fall for it. So she goes running around and she wants me to call, the police. And it's like, the police aren't going to care about it.
No, she did not.
Well, we have a patrol service in our neighborhood. You want to call it patrol service. And it's like,
the only thing you should do is maybe call and see if somebody turned him in at the animal shelter.
Well, it's got the cat is tagged, so it's got a phone number. I said,
if the tags fall off, you should always check.
Yeah, well, you're right.
Especially with all the bristle and thicket or whatever that stuff is in your area. It fall off when it's running around.
But by now it's getting near midnight. I want to go to bed,
Oh, I see.
And so
that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I'm tired, and the kids are going to be up early, and I want to go to bed.
Wherever it is now, it'll be there tomorrow morning.
What am I put out?
Certainly, if it's dead, it'll be in the same place.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If it's dead, I can't do anything about it. If it's lost, we're not going to find it in this neighborhood at midnight. I'll leave food outside the door. It probably, if it's in the neighborhood, we'll figure out its scent and come crawling back. What's it going to do? It has never been out of the house really in 9 years. We've never let it out, so. But you know what? In the back of my mind, I thought this isn't right. She's not a cat that's going to roam out in the wild. She has no confidence for that. And I also remembered that I was pretty careful that morning when I was loading up the car to keep the door closed and the cat away.
All right. Here comes
of course, she comes home, and I'm thinking, she's really upset and thinking, this is going to be one of those nights where we're never going to go to bed. You ever get one of those nights? It's like it's midnight. The wife is really upset about something. You have a mild interest in it, but not that much. Because I'd already written the cat off in my head, and I was thinking about going the next morning and buying a new one. But I'm thinking she's going to be wailing about this all night. She woke up her sister. She's talking about it with her sister at midnight. It's like, And then
that's your crisis for the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm trying to shut the lights, and she's turning them back on. And finally, she goes to a cabinet we have across from our bed where we keep the TV and some sweaters and stuff. For some reason, she just flung the cabinet open, and there's the cat sleeping, nestled on a pile of underwear.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It had been there for 12 hours. It was dark. It was warm in there. She was happy. She didn't meow. She didn't scratch. She didn't try to get our attention. She was happy in there.
That's weird.
Yeah. And so there was this, suddenly, it's like she flung the door open. There's the cat. The cat looks up, jumps out, walks away calmly, and it just sucked all the tension out of the room, Oh. It's like, the level of tension in the room was like, wah, 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 and then suddenly it was like, nothing. There's the cat.
Just like those little dogs being eaten by the coyotes.
That's right. All
the noise is gone.
I know. All the noise is gone. But I realized I didn't have this big, emotional upheaval.
I was going to ask you.
No,
in summation, you did not. Putting yourself in the place of those who have lost loved pets.
I realized it was just a little bit of sadness.
You were ready to move on.
I was ready to move on.
There is Theory B, which you were not able to really ride out long enough.
Yeah.
Theory B is that it's delayed. The grief will come a couple of days later.
Could be.
When the loss sets in. That happens even with family members to some people.
Yeah.
It can happen with beloved pets. So we got half the answer.
Right.
At least right on the spur of the moment, you're not going to react.
I'm going to want to go to sleep. As my cat's dead.
The other thing is,
we go to sleep.
If you actually see it dead, that could add something to what you do.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, am I going to go look for it?
It's kind of abstract.
Yeah, well, you know what I thought? I thought maybe, because cats, when they're sick, they go off in corners and die by themselves.
Yeah, we had that happen.
Oh, you had that happen. See, that's what I thought was going to happen. What happened to your cat?
It went under an old sofa in our den, and it died there. And it took us a little while to find it.
Oh, did you start?
The big old orange cat that we found, and we were kids, so we took it home, and my parents begrudgingly agreed. But apparently it was old and not healthy. Maybe somebody let it.
He brought home a diseased cat.
Well, it was old.
Yeah.
So he just kind of went under the couch to die, and that's where we found him.
Cat fumes is what tipped you off?
I'm not sure. I mean, I was pretty young. I was probably 10, so I don't really remember that.
Well, I started looking under beds and in corners because I figured maybe the cat went off to die.
Why did you do that?
And I think, I was sort of
like the elephants,
Yeah. I thought I was going to lift up the bed cover and stick my head under there, and I was going to see a stiff
around every corner, a lurking dead cat.
Yeah, with its mouth wide open and its eyes bugged out and all stiff. Rigor mortis had set in.
Oh,
and I didn't really want to see that,
Yeah, your first tip is if you were smelling something that wasn't quite right.
Yeah, I started sniffing around, anything rotting in the house here?
If I'd known it would come over like cooking cabbage in your kitchen just to drive you nuts.